Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explainer series. I am Kushagra Goel and very warm greetings from Top Tutorial. So yesterday we discussed the personal guarantor scheme and I hope the in-depth analysis helped you. There were some still nagging doubts about it which I will take up because there is an editorial in the newspaper today. So those doubts I'll be taking up there. There were some other doubts that I also had, which I got. So first was related to what is contingency risk buffer. Contingency risk buffer. So let's say ki there's a scenario, you're receiving 10,000 rupees as pocket money. Okay. And you're planning for your CLAT registration and there is some family, there is some trip that is coming up of your friends. So you plan to do, you have expenditure incurred for that. In that regard, in the trek, let's say you're going for a trek which requires 5,000 rupees, within which there is 1,000 extra that you have kept as contingency, that just in case I might need more money, I might be able to keep that. So when governments also or anywhere, we plan a contingency risk buffer that in case the risk escalates, then we need to have extra stock for us. All right. So similarly, contingency risk buffer, governments use this, for example, while distributing medicines. That remdesivir is an important medicine right now. So states have demanded, let's say, 1 lakh doses a day. Now the central government will give 1 lakh, keep 10,000 extra with it. That extra that it keeps is contingency risk buffer. Then there was another question is what is out of pocket expenditure? Out of pocket expenditure is the money that you will have to incur out of your pocket. Now, for example, when you go to a hospital, right? So there is already a bed. What you are paying is for usage charges of a hospital bed. But in case you have to even buy a bed yourself, then those are your out of pocket expenditure. So in India, for any healthcare, we need to buy medicines, equipments. Every time someone needs a syringe, injection, all of it is something we procure on ourselves. Oxygen cylinders, which are supposed to be provided by a hospital, people had to procure it themselves. So all that expenditure is basically out of your pocket. See, when we pay taxes to government, we expect certain facilities to be available. Let's say good schools, good health infrastructure, good roads, good electricity. So we pay taxes primarily because of that. But even after paying taxes, when we have to incur these expenditure, that is out of pocket. So in India, the out of pocket expenditure of people for healthcare is very high. So that is what that means. Then another doubt that students also had was related to what is a statutory body in the constitution or what is statutory body. So see, there cannot be a statutory body within the constitution. If there is a body mentioned in the constitution, the answer to such a question will be that it is a constitutional body. A statutory body is something that is created through law. So the constitution gives the power to the parliament and state legislative assemblies to make laws. When they, let's say, pass a law to create a new authority, let's say social media fake news vigilance commission. So that body, if it is created through an act or a law passed by the parliament or a legislative assembly, is a statutory body. Any body that is not in the constitution but is created through a law, that is a statutory body. All right. Then there were other doubts related to voluntary and compulsory licensing. India and South Africa and WTO are asking for voluntary or compulsory. Actually, they are seeking both. Basically, they are asking that there should be no patent rights per se, and companies should, one, give voluntary licenses. In places, companies where they are not willing to give it, compulsory licenses should be issued. So they are asking for both. Then there was another question related to what are liquidation process. So let's say I have a house which I had kept as collateral for a business loan that I took. In that regard, then I am unable to pay off the debt. My business failed because of lockdowns or something. My business failed. But now the bank needs money. See, the bank deals in finances. Banks cannot have houses or land, or it doesn't need any of this, right? It needs hard cash because How will bank earn? It will get money by lending it to others. So to lend, you need to have money in your hand. So what will bank do? Bank will then try to sell off my collateral or the house that I had put for supporting my loan. So that is collateral. And the process of selling of the house and the money that the bank will earn is the liquidation process. All right. Then there was another question is what is insolvency proceedings? Insolvency proceedings means mera diwaliya nikal gaya. So to claim that, see, before you or a bank begins liquidation process, I have to declare myself insolvent. That is, I have no money left. So people who owe me money should take whatever collateral I have and sell it off to get their money because मेरे पास कोई पैसा नहीं बचा है. All right. Then there was another question. What is the 6-day war? The 6-day war is the other name for Arab-Israel's second war, which happened in 1967. It lasted for 6 days, and that is why it is known as the 6-day war. Then there was another question which is related to general preparation of CLAT above IIT, NIT. So see, my opinion as why I think students prefer another exam is immaterial. So those are not really doubts that I can help you with. Then there was a doubt related to the black fungus disease that we are having and what precautions we'll take. There is another editorial, so I'll answer this question there. Okay, so let's get on with today's newspaper analysis. Doubts related to the IBC judgment we'll discuss then and there. So beginning with, there is news for all the CLAT aspirants who are appearing along with their board exams that the majority of the states and the central government are in favor of conducting class 12 exams, primarily either for a shortened time period, that is instead of 3 hours, you may have an examination of only 1.5 hours. Most of the paper will be objective, that is MCQ types. Or there is the other option where you may have 3-hour papers, but it could be only for major subjects. Let's say if you have humanities or if you have science, then you have physics, chemistry, maths probably, or in humanities, history, pol science, economics. So you may have those examinations. So that is the update. I know that it is anxious for all the students who are appearing for boards and CLAT that see all this uncertainty regarding the date of the examination is troublesome. Don't be heavy on yourself regarding this. Stay consistent with what you are doing. Keep things simple. Set out timetables. I have to study this much and this is what my target is, and keep getting on with it. Stay in touch with the subjects, but don't get this heavy on yourself. If at any point of time it feels heavier, the pressure is getting to you, take a break, speak to a friend, or take advice from anyone who is your elder, who is close to your family, or take a break in general, indulge in music, dance, or do some high intensity intermediate workouts just to release stress in general. But do talk, don't bottle it up inside you. Keep talking to people virtually, so that I know this is stressful time, so make sure you all do that. Then the other news is regarding that the Yas tropical cyclone in Bay of Bengal may also become a very severe cyclone. Last year only West Bengal and northern Odisha faced another very severe cyclonic storm, that was Amphan, which led to huge damages to the Sundarbans and surrounding districts. So the risk there with Yas is also the same. The Prime Minister reviewed meeting. The landfall of it is likely on May 26. So the name of the cyclone, the category of the cyclone, and the country on who has given the name of the cyclone becomes important. Then India to push for WHO EU approval for Covaxin. So Covaxin is the second vaccine that is available in India. Sputnik 5 and Covishield, which is the AstraZeneca vaccine name, both of them have been approved by WHO for vaccines across the globe. The Covaxin is the primarily indigenous vaccine in India. Now, if a vaccine has not been approved across the globe, or by scientific community outside India, then there is no trust that, see, you getting this vaccine is actually going to help you get immunity from coronavirus. The purpose of vaccines is also to prevent the spread of virus to other people, right? So therefore, Indians who want to travel, even the Prime Minister himself has to travel to different summits, and he has also received the Covaxin right now. So in case he has to travel, then he needs this approval or his vaccine that he has got for coronavirus to be approved by world bodies. Therefore, the government of India is now trying to get WHO to approve Covaxin as the vaccine. This is also important for India's diplomatically. So unless a vaccine is approved by WHO, the company cannot take global orders. It cannot be exported because it's not an approved vaccine. So therefore, this is what is important. Till now, 6 vaccines have been approved by WHO for the world. So that category becomes important from examination point of view. Then moving on the other national news, nothing of note for you all as CLAT aspirants. So moving on, see, try keeping a clear eye of whatever is important for you all in this newspaper every day. See, keep things light, focus on the important stuff only. So moving on to the editorial front. So on the editorial, the main editorial, recalibrate growth, reprioritize expenditure. This is calling that what the government should be spending on what it shouldn't be. Policy suggestion not relevant for us, so completely ignore this. Then on the left hand side, guarantors beware. So now 2 facts that you all need to understand is that a lot of loans that are being given by banks of India, people are not paying them. Banks, either they are willfully not paying it or their businesses have run foul. So because our economy is going through a slowdown, the growth projection that you may have of your business have gone down, and for the past 2 years our economy has been in real contraction also. So therefore a lot of bad loans are happening. So one question was, what happens in general to in case someone doesn't pay? That money is lost. See, if you lend the money to your friend and he doesn't pay it back, you have to write it off. That writing off the loan is known as bad loans. All right. The loans that the bank is unable to recover is known as bad loans. Now, this judgment of IBC is going to assist banks to recover cost. अभी तक क्या हो रहा था? For example, in Nirav Modi's case, he gave fake collateral. Okay, so when you want to actually recover money from the business, there is no collateral to recover it from. Then what do you do with such huge amounts of money? So now this judgment is going to help banks recover the money from the guarantors, those individuals who claimed that they are going to support this business adventure, or saying that, see, in case he doesn't pay, I will pay. So yes, it will create a lot of certainty, and guarantors will have to think twice before actually wanting to support a business. So that deterrence is important, because a lot of public money is getting lost in these bad loans. Businesses, for example, you may see Anil Ambani, Sahara Group, Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya took crores and crores of loans from public bank and then have not paid it. Just decided not to pay it, right? They are like business doob kya or something, and then the money is lost. So therefore, what about that money? That question comes up, and therefore this is going to help now recover those bad loans. The second thing is that, see, on what grounds has the court submitted that, see, these personal guarantors can be held liable? Because, as it claims, carving out personal guarantors as a separate species of individual, given the intimate connection between such individuals and corporate entities whom they stood guarantee. So there is a special relationship which, independent of the contract between the bank and the company, is there. So therefore, even if the business fails, the bank can go after these individuals to claim the money. And at the same time, there was another doubt that what happens in case the liquidation or selling of assets is enabled. Then is the time when you can actually get it. So the judgment clarified that just because liquidation has been there and assets were unable to pay off, you have to be liable for it. So in case किसी ने 100 रुपए का लोन लिया, सिर्फ 50 रुपए ही उसके कोलैटरल से रिकवर हो पाए, बचे हुए 50 रुपए विल बी रिकवर्ड फ्रॉम द गारंटर. द गारंटर कैन नॉट से कि इसके अगेंस्ट आपने लिक्विडेशन भी तो किया, तो उससे आपको जितना पैसा मिला यू गिव इट, यू जस्ट कैन नॉट होल्ड मी अकाउंटेबल. ये गलत बात है. नो, there was a contractual agreement. You agreed to be the guarantor in case he is unable to pay, and that is what it is. Then there was some doubts related to this. What will happen if the bank is unable to recover money from personal guarantors? In case liquidation से 100 crore का लोन था, 60 crore you recovered from liquidation. Personal guarantor से liability लेने के बाद भी you were only able to get 30 crore. So then still there is 10 crore that you have not recovered. If you have sold off the personal guarantors assets also and still not recovered, that 10 crore will be bad debt. See, 10 crore as bad loans or bad debt is still all right in comparison to, let's say, 40 crore or 100 crore rupees, right? So कुछ नहीं से कुछ भले वाली बात है ये. Okay, then another question, why would anyone want to be a guarantor as he is not getting anything? Instead, he has to fill up the money space. That is for guarantors to see that why would they want to support a business. People support businesses because they are venture capitalists or they may look for favors from out of the business. Okay. Then there was another doubt that is related to this only, which was Nirav Modi's case. So the doubt was, so Nirav Modi guarantor paid full collateral. No, he hasn't. Nirav Modi's loans have not been recovered yet. All right. So abhi to we are trying to get, the government is trying to get the money from him only. All right. And that is where it is. But right now, his loans, personal guarantors have not been held accountable. Then moving on the right hand side, deflating India's COVID black market boom. So every time India has a crisis, there are people who want to profit from suffering of others. This is something Mahatma Gandhi ji spoke of in Hind Swaraj, that the reason why we were colonized is because there were Indians who had profited from colonizing their own country. And that is exactly that tendency has still carried on, where right now poor people or people need medicines, need oxygen. There is black marketing, there is a fake. So all of this was there in other sectors. For example, financial sectors, there was fraud always happening. This is now hit the medicine market also. There are fake medicines, fake oxygen, people selling salt solution as the remdesivir. Imagine the trauma of someone who had to procure a medicine that usually sells for 1,000 rupees at 50,000 rupees, and then comes to know that that medicine is also not correct. And if he or she loses their loved ones. So these kinds of individuals have been there, and this editorial talks about, one, what is happening, and then secondly, what can be done so that the government can establish a special administrative machinery, an independent vigilance system to actually work against this black marketing. This is something that the government should be seeing. Governments are trying against black marketing, so it needs to be seen whether it is done or not. Then another challenge, the rise in mucormycosis cases underline the need for diabetics to get vaccination. So there was one doubt that what can people do to prevent themselves from getting black fungus. So see, black fungus is not contagious. That is, if you touch someone who has black fungus, you will not get it. How is it spreading? So people who have high diabetes, and when you have high diabetes and on top of it you're being given steroids. So steroids are an effective solution against COVID-19. So when your immunity is low and then you're given these steroids, the side effect of high consumption of steroids is black fungus. So you cannot do anything, but in case any of your family member has diabetes, then getting them vaccinated at the earliest is important because they are at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19. And on top of that, the treatment of COVID-19 is going to put them at a higher risk of black fungus. So this is a catch-22 situation where you need to have COVID-19 treatment, but the side effect of COVID-19 can be another deadly disease, that is black fungus. So this is what the editorial talks about, that see, the government has now made an epidemic notifiable epidemic disease. What this means is states will have to declare how many patients do they have of it. So when, let's say, common cold is not an epidemic disease. So if someone gets sick by common cold or viral fever, government doesn't keep a track of how many people are sick with viral in India today, unlike what we have for COVID-19, right? So that is what this is. The second part is that, see, the second part of this editorial is related to the kind of treatment that can be given to those who are suffering from it. So that is scientific knowledge, not relevant for us, okay? So moving on to the op-ed page, on the left hand side, the many benefits of an eco tax. What is this about? This is related to an economic tax that should be put on businesses, and that should be used for overall climate change mitigation. So this is policy narrative, whether it is done or not. It's a policy suggestion of a new tax to be placed on businesses. Then on the right hand side, confronting bad faith campaigns that in journalists, that vested interest campaigns to defame a journalist. But the most important one for us is WhatsApp and its dubious claims. So what is WhatsApp's new privacy policy? Under this privacy policy, WhatsApp will be able to share your metadata with a business account. So let's say, for example, if any one of you has WhatsApp, I've ever booked it, any flight or any business account, you have interacted with a business account on WhatsApp, Jio, Airtel, ClearTrip, MakeMyTrip, Oyo, any of them, Swiggy, Zomato, right? So those are business accounts. Any response that you give to those business accounts is part of the metadata. That metadata of you will now be shared with all other businesses who want to purchase it. This metadata will also be shared to Facebook and Instagram. So what will be the effect? Let's say you booked a trip to Oyo, or you booked a flight ticket in regard to a place. Let's say you want to go to Kerala, Mannar. So you booked a flight ticket with ClearTrip. Now let's say you start getting advertisements on Facebook and Instagram about hotels in Kerala. You start getting advertisements about houseboats in Kerala. You start getting advertisements about individuals who car taxis in Kerala, or places that you can visit around Kerala. So all of those are advertisements. How did they come to know that you have? That is through your metadata. So this is the risk. This is what can happen, that things that you see on social media, you may start suddenly seeing far more Instagram reels related to people on vacation, so that you also go to these vacation places, or Instagram bloggers who have vacations in Kerala. You'll start suddenly seeing posts related to that. So this is what this is related to. You will start getting more and more travel related advertising. So this is part of your privacy. Let's say you want to take a private trip, nobody should come to know, but there is a real risk that now you as an individual, everything about you can be used to benefit these tech companies. This is what the privacy policy of WhatsApp is. There are two claims against it. That first is related to how this is abuse of market dominance position. The Competition Commission of India is exploring that WhatsApp has abused its market dominance. It is clear that WhatsApp, Facebook and Instagram are the most dominant apps that Indians use. Every person who has an internet device definitely has WhatsApp in India. It is the default messaging app in India, right? So therefore, it knows that it is dominant. Even if, let's say, WhatsApp is saying that, see, if you have a problem with our privacy policy, you can move to another app, you're free to do it. They know that majority of them will have to stay on WhatsApp, because let's say your office people or office group is on WhatsApp. Let's say your study group is on WhatsApp. Everyone is not moving there, right? So you'll be forced to stay on the platform. When you are forced to stay on the platform, they can abuse your privacy. So even if you don't consent to it, they know that you will still have to do it, right? So that is abuse of market dominance position. The second problem is that WhatsApp is claiming that, see, this is against business accounts. You may choose not to focus on business accounts or not provide them access. But see, when you use WhatsApp, you provide access to voice, camera, gallery, location, storage, right? Now, those are not specifically when you are contacting to someone on a business account, they will not get access, but only when you are talking to a personal individual, they will get access. So there is a risk of hacking because your permissions are common. Second, if let's say a company abuses the metadata, let's say your data was sold off by someone to another company without your consent. To fight against a big business like WhatsApp or to any other company that they sold it, OYO, will you as a single individual be able to fight against them? Definitely not. The purpose of a government to have privacy laws is so that such individuals, such big companies cannot abuse our rights. This is why we need a data protection law, which the editorial calls that, see, India needs that because every other country in the world, especially European Union, is doing it. So our solution to all these problems or abuse is a data protection law only. So moving on the other national news. So one is related to Kane Energy verdict highly flawed. So the ministry has decided to appeal the arbitration judgment of Kane Energy. First, that see, Indian government never consented to arbitration is their first claim, and secondly, that this position of Kane Energy is highly flawed. Why? Because India's stand is to avoid or stop Kane Energy from double non-taxation. That Kane Energy did not want to pay taxes in UK, Kane Energy did not want to pay taxes in India. So basically they are trying to avoid paying taxes, and the Indian government, as a right of a sovereign, wanted to claim these taxes, and that is what the case is all about. So government has planned to file an appeal. It needs to be seen what is done. I haven't marked this news, but this is puts once again in highlight that part of your CLAT examination definitely will have a question related to India-China dispute or a border dispute of India, which sees that a minor face-off in Galwan Valley did take place. Army saying that it wasn't a clash, but this puts in highlight that this is still a part of your questions. Mark my words, one question related to border dispute will come in CLAT examinations. Then moving on, single dose only 33% effective against B1617.2. This is also known as the variant that was found in India. Now, if you have received the first dose of a Covishield vaccine, you are protected, or only 33% people will be protected against the disease. So let's say those who have not been vaccinated definitely don't have protection, and secondly, then those who even have got the vaccine, only 33% if they have got only single dose. So we need the second dose to protect ourselves against the disease. Okay, so this is what the report is. This has been confirmed by public health authorities in United Kingdom. Then moving on to the international news. So Israel police allows Jews to visit Flashpoint Jerusalem site. What is the Flashpoint Jerusalem site? It is the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. So Israel has been prohibiting Palestinians or Arab or Muslims from visiting the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They are regulating how many people. At the same time, allowing Jews. Until now, the compound mosque, the western wall of the compound is considered holy by the Jews, but they also claim that the mound on which the mosque is there is also part of their religion. This puts Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa compound at the flashpoint. This is something that generally they were not doing, but now they are doing it, which puts the tensions on the brim. Anytime it could explode all over again. From Africa, we have news about a volcano eruption in Congo, that Mount Nyiragongo exploded last night, and lava, as you can see from the pictures, spilled over in the city. These are, you can see, houses and land getting submerged under lava from the volcano. So this place where it happened, that is the country of Congo, and which mountain where this happened, the city where it happened nearby is known as Goma. The last time it took place was in 2002. Okay. Apart from this, no access to images of our nuclear sites, Iran. So the 1 month agreement that Iran had with IAEA is about to expire. So Iran is now putting more and more pressure on USA that, see, agree to the JCPOA or else now we are on the verge of attaining nuclear grade uranium, and that will put us on the brink of developing a nuclear device. So this is pressure tactics. What is now being denied to IAEA, which is the surveillance agency for clean nuclear energy, is pictures. So these cameras and reconnaissance cameras and pictures are used by IAEA to see whether the uranium that is being used is not being used to develop weapons. Now, once that surveillance will end, there is nothing to confirm that Iran hasn't actually developed the nuclear weapons or not. So this is what it is about. Then, apart from this, the other news, nothing of real note for us. On the sporting and side also, nothing of real note. So on that note, I will conclude for the day. In today's newspaper, 2 news: first about the IBC judgment, then second about black fungus, important. Then third is related to the cyclone Yas. Make sure you cover that. Fourth is related to the new effectiveness of vaccines and India trying to pursue the vaccine for WHO approval, that is Covaxin. And second is about efficacy of the AstraZeneca vaccine against the B1617 variant, which is also known as the variant that first emerged in India. Okay, so those are important news. And lastly, from international news, you have the news related to volcano eruption. So on that note, I'll conclude for the day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, all of you.